Later, The Bone Temple is the brand new movie that is just hitting theaters. This is the fourth film now of this franchise, but it's the direct follow-up to 2025's 28 Years Later. Instead of Danny Boyle, though, directing the movie, Nia DaCosta, director of 2021's Candyman and The Marvels, steps in to direct, while Garland remains the sole screenwriter for the movie. Alex Garland, who's written films like Ex Machina, Warfare, Annihilation, and Danny Boyle does remain as a producer on this movie. So again, if you haven't seen 28 Years Later, slight spoilers, I am going to be setting up the plot to this new entry because it is a direct follow-up to 28 Years Later. One thing, we follow Spike, played by Alfie Williams, who at the end of the last movie was recruited into a new kind of religious cult called the Jimmies, which is being run by Jack O'Connell, Sir Lloyd Jimmy Crystal. He believes that he is the son of Satan and does all damage to the world in the name of his, in his opinion, true father. Obviously, Spike feels very divisive. He's been through a lot, especially coming off the last movie. And he finds some kinship in another one of the Jimmies, played by Aaron Kellerman, who sees some cracks in the actual cult. We also follow Ray Fiennes' Dr. Ian Kelson from the last movie, as he's not just trying to survive this kind of zombie apocalypse, he's looking for the next evolution of society and how maybe it's not just that these zombies are just crazy, useless beings, there could be an actual cure to help. As he finds Samson back from the last movie, played by Shia Lewis Perry, as he tries to cure his, I guess, zombified situation. The movie is an hour and 50 minutes and is rated R. Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new review here at Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinenberg. If you guys are new, please hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so you're notified when my videos hit the channel, because I talk movies, TV, box office, awards season. I do movie franchise rankings. If you like any one of those things, this is the channel for you. Subscribe, ring the bell. Comment down below. What are you guys' thoughts on Bone Temple? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you want to see more movies in the franchise? Do you think they should really stop with this movie? Let me know down in the comments. And also, guys, please hit that thumbs up button. So I watched 28 Years Later movies, 28 days later, weeks later, for the first time actually last year, leading into 28 years later. And I became a very much big fan of the franchise because I really love 28 Days Later. But I was kind of really underwhelmed with 28 Weeks Later. And then I saw all this buzz for 28 Years Later. I was like getting very excited. Danny Boyle's back, directing, written by Alex Garland. We're going back to the realm of the first movie. And I still, after rewatching 28 Years Later again for the second or third time the other night, actually the third time I've seen that movie, I still feel very divisive on 28 Years Later. I think there's some really excellent moments in that movie from June of 2025. And also, I think a lot of things that missed the mark, in my opinion. And so, even though I heard just unbelievable reviews for this movie, I still was, because I heard those same people loving the last movie. So, I wasn't going to come in thinking I was going to love this movie or anything like that. So, here are my thoughts on 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. And I think this is honestly a much stronger movie than the first movie, to a point where this is up there as one of, if it's going to be 28 Days Later and Years Later, Bone Temple are right neck and neck for me for this franchise. Like, this movie could be the best film of this franchise. The more I think about it, the more times I rewatch it, I'm fascinated because I thought this was an excellent zombie horror movie in a way. This film had a tough challenge for me because the ending of the last movie, where they introduced Jack O'Connell and the Jimmies, I thought was horrendous and kind of killed the third act of the last movie. But for some reason, the elements that didn't work for me in the last movie really worked in this movie. And I'll get to that also in a second. But the biggest thing I want to talk about too is the directorial change. Because while Garland is still the writer, sole screenplay writer, and Boyle is still a part of the process, he's just producing the movie, not directing it. They gave this movie to Nia DaCosta, and who I really liked her 2021 Candyman movie. I just didn't blame her at all for the Marvels. I think you can tell that was a studio infringement situation, not letting DaCosta kind of do what she wants to do. And I was kind of nervous going because I said, 28 Weeks Later really tried to basically copy the look of 28 Days Later, just the shaky, the chaotic shots that Danny Boyle likes to do. But this movie, luckily, just doesn't make Nia DaCosta a clone of Danny Boyle and make her fit into the franchise. Yes, this movie definitely feels like it fits perfectly within this franchise, but it's shot very more sleek and it's not as chaotic or shaky cam as the other movies. I think this makes this movie honestly stand out compared to any of the other films in the franchise. I really respect that Garland and Boyle just made sure they let Nia DaCosta direct this movie the way she wanted to direct it. And it's really on display. It's a gorgeous movie that isn't so focused on copying Danny Boyle. She kind of makes this her own movie. I just really respect that everyone who runs this franchise were perfectly cool giving her this opportunity. And I think she really hit a home run with 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Now, as I said, there were two key elements of the last movie. The last half of that previous movie, I was not the biggest fan of. But the thing I was most nervous about coming into this was, as I said, were the Jimmies. But what this movie does a really good job of is it just doesn't feel like a stereotypical zombie apocalypse movie. Because in most zombie apocalypse films, it's just a gory action film as our human heroes try to survive by killing zombies. That's like every zombie apocalypse movie of the last 30 years. But this movie is going for very complex and different approaches to this genre with its two different plot points. The first plot point is with Ralph Fiennes, who is brilliant in this movie. He's really excellent, and his character, I think they take the biggest swings with his character. Ralph Fiennes really has to commit to what the script is asking him to do, and because he fully commits, I think it absolutely works. I think he's really, really good in the movie. As we try to see, as he tries to not cure what's going on, but see that there isn't just these brainless people, that he sees Samson, wants to help him. And that dynamic, I think, is one of the stronger aspects of the film. But the other aspect is the much darker side of the movie, which is the real villains, which are not the zombies. It is this cult led by Jack O'Connell, who is really fantastic in this movie. I think, and as someone who adores Sinners, he gets so much more to do in this movie. I found him to be way more terrifying here than he was in Sinners because O'Connell, what you really need in a cult leader is the belief. Why would people want to follow him? You totally understand that in a very dark way in this society. But he also believes in everything that he is saying. And he is such a ruthless and dangerous character and we get some gore, really gory movie, but it's not about the humans killing zombies is the gore. The real disturbing part of this movie is human on human killing, what the actual Jimmies do to the other human beings they run into during the movie. And it is very vicious, especially when they really zone in on Spike, who goes kind of from like the lead character of the last movie to like the third or fourth main character of this movie, which I think is totally okay. But when they focus on him, you really see from a child's eyes what he's witnessing and what he's kind of growing into. And that's also a feeling that you have in the back of your head the entire film. And O'Connell is just so terrifying in this movie. And usually you don't really see these type of cults, especially religious cults, in zombie apocalypse situations. I think it really elevates this movie. Erin Kellyman also is one of the most interesting parts of the movie. She plays one of the Jimmies, as I said earlier. And there are times you can't tell if she just hates Jack O'Connell's character, but still believes in what he's saying, or is just totally against being in this cult and could possibly help Spike. That duality for the first two acts I found really interesting. You really couldn't tell where her trust was with. Was it with the religion? Was it with the cult? Or was it with trying to make sure this kid gets out of this situation? I thought that was really interesting as well. So there were so many different unique elements that we haven't seen this franchise really dive into since the first movie. That's what I love about the first 28 Days Later, which, yes, it's a zombie apocalypse. We see a lot of fun action. The movie, for me, hits next gear when Cillian Murphy and Naomie Harris, they run into that military base and they realize the real horrors, which were the military human beings. This movie is very similar. There's tons of zombie action and zombie gore, but the real horror and disturbing elements is what the human beings do in this movie. And I think it really makes this movie pop. Now, my biggest issue with the movie is kind of the first 20 to 30 minutes. I think the movie takes too long to kind of get into things. Like the first 30 minutes, I was kind of like, I'm here for the ride, but I wasn't totally locked in. And I was honestly kind of bored for the first 20, 25 minutes of the movie. But I'll just say this, once the Jimmies, let's just say, enter a home of someone, also that's when the movie hit next gear and it continued on that gear throughout the rest of the movie to a very extremely satisfying third act. Because I was so unsatisfied with that third act of the last movie. I was so satisfied with this movie. So this is, for me, an excellent follow-up. I desperately want to see the next movie. Again, if you've not seen any of these movies, I highly recommend checking them out. I think if anything, you really need to see the last movie to watch this one because this really is a direct follow-up. So overall, I'm giving 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, a 4 out of 5 stars. I am going 84% for this movie. I am shocked how much I really, really like this movie. Let me know your thoughts, guys, down in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon.